welcome. If you're watching this live, great. I'm gonna copy a link here and repost it to my Instagram, so bear with me. Right, if there's anyone there, great. And if not, no worries. Bear with me here as I'm reposting this link because I had to do something different off my phone. First time I've done this, so it could be rubbish. Right. Oh. Mm. Okay. Right. Can people hear me? I'm hoping you can hear me. So you might just give me a thumbs up, or I don't know how it works here. It's the first time I've done this, so welcome to the live chat. Right. So I don't know where the messages go. Anyway, I am posting this on my YouTube, or sorry, my Instagram, so people can get the link because I had to put up a different link. So if you're wondering what's going on, I am here, and sorry if you're now watching the recording and you're getting all my add-ons. Right, so that's now up. Okay. Right, guys, so very welcome. I see, look, there's a handful of people there. Great. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I don't know, you might just give me a thumbs up to say you can, or like the video maybe, because I can't see chat, or chat's not popping up just yet. Is this the chat here? I think so. Anyway. Right, so that link has now gone up on my Insta as well. Look, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate, really appreciate you joining me, see what you think. So slightly different format. I'm going to try and do something live for a change, mix it up. Yeah, see what you think. Just bear with me here 1 second. There's a bit of reflection here on the board that I want to get rid of. Hopefully that's dealt with that. Okay, so what we're going to look at is a handful of things. So hopefully you can see this okay. It's always hard to tell with this sort of thing. I'm looking at in reverse down here as well. So basically, look, a couple of talking points. I'm going to look at a few clips of England. Going to look at how Ireland started the game, a little bit of variation, and then look at some of the movements that they did. And yeah, just a few different talking points. So as I say, going to try this. Might make this a weekly occurrence. So for the next couple of weeks over the Six Nations, just to, I suppose, mix it up. Again, I hope you can hear me okay. You might just put something in the comment there. I'd just be interested to see what the sound quality is like, because I've mic'd up here, but I don't know how it works with YouTube, so bear with me. Anyway, look, the first thing we're going to look at is England. So it's on a 4-man. All right. So we're looking at here. Let's move this around a bit, maybe. All right. So what we're looking at here is off a 4-man lineout. Ireland do a good job of turning them over. So it's a wash. I suppose what's interesting with this is there's nothing drastically different or overly different about this movement. It's something you see a lot of teams do. But I guess what's quite interesting is that Ryan Baird's link was an interesting point. It would have been fairly, I think a lot of people possibly would have expected. Thanks, Alex. Good to see you too. Let me know. Can you hear me all right? But yeah, just what's interesting with this is Ryan Baird's selection, I think, was quite interesting. A lot of people might have thought that Jack Conlan might have got in, or Peter Mahoney might have started. But I think what's interesting about his selection is that he's been really good for Leinster in terms of line-out, particularly in the last couple of years. The talk would have been he might have been heavily criticised, not heavily criticised, but he might have been as good a line-out operator or maybe on some detailed parts of the game. And I think in the last 18 months in particular, I think he's shown he's very capable. I love watching him. I think he's a brilliant player. But what's interesting here is if you notice his head position here, he's really looking down at the feet and the movement of the hips. So if his man goes up, he'll be able to beat him with speed. Hard for this man, if he takes the hit straight away, it's going to be very hard for him to win the ball. So he's his cue to see if he moves, and then he's going to move accordingly, which is what happens here as we play it through. Bear with me here, sorry. So as you move, as we play it on slowly, I don't have a little clicker, so bear with me here. I will try and show you. So he's going to turn here now in a second, and Baird is going to match that. So I don't know, can I zoom in here now to show that? Oh yeah, I can deadly. Sorry, got a bit of a close-up there to Chevy Chase. But yeah, I'll have to get more toys, I think, next time. But sorry, as he pops out, he'll see the front lifter go. So he's got his eyes on the opposite man, Baird's, but he also has eyes on the front man. So if he was to turn and lift the toe going back, he'll cover that. But often it's harder for him to turn. Some of the Kiwi teams actually do that really well, actually, or the South Africans as well, is that he'll often turn to front lift the back lifter. So I'll zoom in on that so you can kind of get a better look at that. So again, you get a look at Baird. So as I zoom in on Baird there, you'll see he's going to pick up the cue and he'll turn. Ryan then does a really good job of just committing to it, and he's picking up his cue from Itoje, and they're probably just hedging their bets that they're only going to go back one step. If they were to go back steps, it probably would have been harder to defend. It would have been harder to defend. So a good start from Ireland, and they put them under pressure from that first line out. Then, I think this might be the best way to do it if I zoom in and out of my phone. The next option we see is we see England do a five-man lineup, but we're going to notice the changes. Here's your +1 off the line out, but he's actually going to do a late swap in players, which makes it hard to defend, and it puts the hinge defender under pressure, particularly for Ireland in this instance. So I'll play it through once and then I'll zoom in and show you again. So it makes it harder, and just it's actually quite good execution from England. So I'll play it through again there, and we get a look at it. So just that late change. So last man the line-out drops back, and then they bring him in here at the front, and it just makes it a little bit harder for Ireland to match, because you can see they've actually given a bit of space here at the front of the line-out. Okay, so that's where Ireland have given at the front. Just here, they're now bringing in the +1 to mark him, or to not mark him, to go towards the front. So often you'd probably leave two defenders at the front of the line, or two if you had two attackers at the front and you're defending, you'd probably leave those on their own, which we saw Scotland do a really good example of, a one-man lift at the front against India last week and just take a free throw. So yeah, bear with me now for moving around a good bit, but yeah, a work in progress. So yeah, nice ball, nice option, good play by England. So one of the other things I want to talk about then was red zone and how England defend the red zone. Ireland had a few 5-metre opportunities. They didn't exploit it. Well, not they didn't exploit it, just England did it quite well. So a couple of things with this option. Ireland will take England are giving a free throw to the front. So similarly, if you can see that there, there's a bit of space at the front of the line that England give. All right. Okay, they're giving, like, the first man the line out is he's about 3 meters back. Okay, actually, about three, a bit more than 3. And then they have this man here who is he's the scrum half, so he's off the line out, but he's going to join and defend them all. So he's there to help protect any sort of front peels or any sort of transfers or anything like that. And they also have a hooker in the channel as well. So they have a hooker in the channel here in Cowan Dickey. So he's also there to negate any sort of front peels and deal with that. So I'll play it on and then we'll talk through it. So Ireland go to the front, they take the free throw to the front, and then England job of negating it. Now, the interesting thing about this is that you probably could argue that is that a penalty or not? Has he tackled the ball carrier? I was surprised that maybe that wasn't a penalty. But Itoje is brilliant at being a nuisance. I'd love to have him in my team, and I'd hate to play against him. But as a 6-man setup here, as I say, that's a good player where maybe it shows a bit more clearly how they give the front of the line. So you've got Itoje defending the middle, and you have this man who's a little bit of space for this last jumper here in the scrum cap. Okay, for him to go forward or go back, and he's defending in front of Doris. So it makes it harder. If Doris was to go up there where he is, he'll probably take that. So as we play it on, what we'll notice is Ireland then with a bit of movement, they'll go towards the front, get themselves set up. England then hit with their scrum half, the first man the line out, Itoje, and the person in behind Itoje. So those 4 hit straight away. So they hit with a flat wall of 4, a line of 4. Now Itoje is brilliant at this. There's very few people that can swim very well. Like, Itoje is really high up there, but he's so good at finding his way through. But it's his teammates that do a really good job to break up the back edge or the open side edge as you play it through here. Like, Ireland have a reasonably good setup, but look what happens to the back lifter. He gets taken out. He gets tackled out essentially, all right, by Genge. and that makes it very difficult then for Ireland to build any sort of momentum. So once that front wall is gone, can't see anything there. Once that front wall is gone, it makes it very difficult, and then ultimately Ireland, England essentially are tackle it. I thought they possibly could look at it for a penalty. So interesting though, good defence I would say overall, because those things are rarely called. Rarely called by referees. There's like every maul could nearly be a penalty. I think yeah, there's a lot of illegal activities in malls, and come up sometimes they don't. So you're nearly better off playing the line of the referee and going for it. So just a couple of other clips then. I'm going to show this. This is a nice little bit of variation. I thought something which Ireland have done quite well in recent years, where they have an 8+1 essentially, where they have a back at the front, back and a back at the back. Here we are. That didn't work for some reason. Here we are. Okay, so see in a second, we'll see a back at the front, back at the back, and they're going to do a +1. But what basically the point of this I wanted to show you is a nice little bit of variation, but Ireland basically just took the front all day, which I felt was good, you know, and maybe other teams have been better at actually, you know, playing off line-up ball, one at the front of the line, and maybe Ireland haven't been as good, I think, in recent times. That was one thing which I felt. I mentioned this a few times, but in a recent article with myself and the Irish Indo with Rory O'Connor, I felt that there's a few things we could do better. One was speed, maybe potentially more throw jumps. Now we didn't do as many throw jumps and space. They're obviously a bit riskier at times, but it can be very effective, and you're back on speed. And then the other one was actually learning to play, or not learning to play, but playing off ball that's one at the front of the line, because most teams don't want to give on the middle of the back because their attacking plays are so good. Ireland had lovely variation and movement, which I'll show as well. So this kind of gave them a good opportunity inside the red zone from winning ball at the front of the line out. So a little bit of a breakout play. Now, the other thing which I thought Ireland were quite good at. Sorry, before I show the other two, how they beat the hinge, but I wanted to show how they started the game. So this is the first line out. Okay, so what I liked about this was their speed of movement. So they're jogging in, and then movement towards the front, and they just go and take that free space. All right, so I'll play it again. Give you a better angle on it. Hopefully you can see that all right. So, first line of the game, get set, jog in, and then the second guy, Ryan Baird, just moves front. Itoje kind of hedges his bets a little bit, and they win the ball nicely. So it was a nice way to start movement. This was the little chip kick from Prendergast in that first minute, or first couple minutes. So I thought it was a nice way to start the game. And then as the game moved on, they wanted to try and find ways to beat the hinge. Because sometimes England, although Itoje moves around a bit, they're really trying to attack that middle guy. So in this instance, what I mean by the hinge is, if we see Ireland with a bit of... So I'll just pause this now in a second. So this man here is our hinge. Okay, so he's basically going to lift this guy or lift this guy. All right, and Ireland look to exploit that. As a lot of teams look to do. And sometimes England, Itoje floats between the middle and back. So he'll either front lift Itoje or back lift Itoje. Some teams did that. That's what Ireland were doing with Baird sometimes. Or Leinster have done that with Baird as well. And it kind of sims. So you can see just with a bit of movement. So there's a dummy front lift. That puts him under pressure. And it now puts these three under pressure to try and read it. So I thought this was quite smart from again, early on in the game, 7 minutes. I don't know if you can see that on the clock. But it puts these three men under pressure. So you think it maybe goes going to the back, but it's a nice little bit of animation. It's done at speed. And then as they come through, it's uncontested then. And this is something Ireland have done before against England quite well. In this instance, what they do, they do it quite well, where there's a bit more of, let's say, a bit more movement and a double dummy. It doesn't work out here, all right? And some would say, well, you lost the ball. But for me as a coach, I'm looking at, well, when I design line-out plays and line-out movements, I'm saying to myself, well, was there free? Was it uncontested? Did we find space? Did we make the right decision? So for me, yes, we lost the ball here, but there's some positives as well. This is a couple of years ago. But the point is, they're trying to beat the hinge. If you look at the English hinge defender, right? As my defender, he's a mirror, and then he's a hinge. Either way, both systems, he was more of a mirror here, and they're trying to mirror, but that can be harder to defend against. So if he's a mirror or a hinge, these types of movements can be very effective. Those double bumps, double dummies, done at speed can be really good. So later on in the game, then they went with a 3-2 and a squash, and they're just going to bring the +1 in here and lift directly at the back. A lot of teams do, but again, sharp. They look to exploit that hinge. Now they do the same thing, which is a bit like a move I'm going to show you in a second, where again they try and beat that hinge. Or sorry, like the first step I showed you, where they try and beat that hinge and make it very difficult. Whether he's mirroring or hinging, it can be very difficult to defend this. All right, so firstly, the big fella in the middle. All right, he's defending the middle guy if he goes up. Then once there's movement, he's probably going to be a hinge lifter. All right, so Ireland go towards the front. All right, they go towards the front. That commits the hinge. Then they go to the back. The hinge has to move, and then they go back towards the middle again. And that puts, again, the front three men under pressure here to make that read, pick up those cues, which is really hard to do. So last kind of 2 clips then, and then we'll crack on, or let you guys crack on. But what I liked about this was this is when Jack Conan's come on. It's kind of keeping him in line with the same what they'd done at the start. So they're going to have a nice bit of injection of pace as they get the last couple of steps towards the line-out. And again, that just brings a bit of impetus into the line-out. So I quite like that. Now, this is the one that was a penalty against England. But if I'm honest, I actually thought they're a bit hard done by. So I'll talk through it in a bit more detail here. But what we're seeing is we'll see a squash. So Ireland walk in. I'll just show you here now. They kind of jog in those last couple of steps. And then we're going to see Jack Conan, who's in the middle, move towards the front into the squash there. Okay, so just move this around a little bit. Okay, hopefully that is all right. Okay, so he's now in a squash, and then he's going to loop around or loop back around, but they're looking to get after this guy, the middle guy. And he has to get a penalty. It doesn't quite work here, but I like what they're trying to do, and I'll show you why. So as England go back, all right, it's very hard, I think, for England to defend the middle here. All right, you're relying on this man lifting a Toje, which he has a bit of ground to cover. Like, he's got a meter on him, and obviously speed as well. So he has a lot more work to do to lift a Toje. Even if a Toje got a one-man lift, he might get a bit of pressure under him because a Toje is a big guy and he's disruptive. But as we play it on, I actually quite like what they're trying to do. It's just probably more down to timing, I think. At this stage, Jack Connan wasn't long on, so possibly as a time, and Sheehan wasn't long on either. So it's possibly a bit of timing and just getting back into it. But the principle of what they're trying to do, I think, was quite good. And Itoje got penalised for putting an arm on him, which I thought it was hard done by, to be honest with you. I probably, you'd probably be encouraging most people to not over push, but often you're encouraging the defenders to give a little nudge, maybe to unsettle them as they're coming down or whatever it is. Not to the risk of the player, but that's something which a lot of teams do week in, week. So often you wouldn't see that penalised. But again, the principle of what they're doing was quite good, which then leads us into the try. All right, so bear with me here now. Okay, so this is the build-up then to the James Lowe try. Sorry, the James Lowe line break and the Tygburn try. So again, sort of thing in terms of movement. The three Jack Connan walking in, and then we see a nice little bit of injection, squash to the front, back to equal spaces, and then they just go back to the front. And again, what I like about this was that it's nice sequencing. You might as well enjoy the try, to be honest with you, as I take a little drink. And it's a really well worth try, to be fair. So yeah, a cracking try from Ireland. If we go back to this bit here then. So England, same sort of thing. They've now an extra man in the middle. All right, so let's just keep your eye on the defence as we play it on. So you can see Itoje moving around, swapping positions, which I think is a good strategy just defensively. Then he goes to defend the squash. Then when it's round, you can see it's actually really nice sequencing from Ireland. So what I mean by that is that often in your menu, you might have an option and then you'll add a layer on and a layer onto that, the same movement. There just might be an extra dummy. So this was actually quite good. So I'll just zoom out myself there. This was actually quite nicely done, I felt, from Ireland. So the last time this man turns to lift Conan, just goes straight up in the middle, which is a good option because you can see the way Itoje is there. He has Conan, so he's not going to get a look at him. So he's going off the ball, which isn't a bad thing, but it can be harder maybe you can get your timing off the hooker, but certainly I think it's going to be easier to attack, I think. Depending on front of the line, it might be a little bit harder, but certainly the middle and back, depending on the movement and setups and whatnot, it can be a little bit harder to defend. So he's probably thinking, right, it's going to be the same option. And this time, the front man that I need to lift the toe jig going back, which makes this quite nice that it looks like they're not doing the previous option, but they might just maybe go here to the middle or middle front today. But they have a free throw to the front, which they execute really well, or exploit and execute really well. So let me see. So that's really it. Yeah, let me know what you think. Hopefully I can play this back for you. I'd love to get your feedback on it. As I say, something a little bit different. Few technical difficulties there this earlier, just trying to get set up and have the right links, and it wasn't working. I had to change it up. So thanks for bearing with me. As I say, I hope to watch this back. I'd love to get your feedback on it. I'll try and do something next week as well, and maybe look other like Scotland and France and Wales and Italy. Like I think they're all doing some really interesting things around the Lineout too. But yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts. Cool.